Hello, I'm Amanda Abbington, and you're listening to Chris Gordon on Hellblazer Biz.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night wherever you are in the world in the moment in time we are in. I am Chris Gordon, and I welcome you to Hellblazer Biz, part of the BSPN podcast network. Check them out for some more amazing podcasts out there. You can also support me, should you wish, in my goals to move into a TV show for this show. I think that'll be cool. Hopefully you do too. A link to become a patron is on my pinned tweet at Hellblazer Biz, where you can get perks from shout-outs through to being called up live during an interview and getting to ask your question in person to my guest. Speaking of guests, today's guest is no stranger to screen or stage. Having been a main character in Mr. Selfridge, appearing most recently on stage in Abigail's Party, and of course known worldwide for playing the great character Mary Watson in BBC's Sherlock series, starring Benedict Cumberbatch, I am more than proud to present to you Amanda Abbington. Hey Amanda.
How are you? How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Finally got there. I will say we had some technical issues, but we got there.
Yeah, we ploughed on through. We got there.
We did. Fortitude and determination.
Determination, grit.
Yes. Good old British stiff upper lip.
Exactly. Got through and a cup of tea.
Oh yes. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining me this evening. I do really appreciate the fact that you came on. You're so jovial in your messages as well, and the excitement I think you showed. And as I say, you made my year saying that you'd listened to some of my shows. So
yeah, it's great. It's good. I'm very thrilled that I'm doing it. I'm very excited about what's going to be asked of me. So it's good.
Well, hopefully there are some great questions here. I sent some over to you, so we'll have a look and read through and see where we can go and find out some funny stories from your acting times.
I hope I've got some. I probably have. I'll dig them out, I'm sure.
I've actually pre-prepared a photo because there's one story I've got later on which I've been asked. It's just a question someone was going to ask,
okay.
And they mentioned the story behind it, and then I said I could probably top that. And I've got the photo proof, so I'll bring that out after. It's not rude.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, brilliant. I look forward to that.
It's not. Yeah, unlike John Joe, as you can see, I'm fully dressed when I was speaking.
So, was you not then? You're naked.
I was, but yeah,
You were naked.
No, I wasn't. I was fully dressed, but the comments came. Everyone thinks I was naked because his comment was like, "There you are, Chris. You could have put some clothes on."
Oh, yes.
Yeah, because it wasn't video back then.
Oh, right. It was audio.
It was audio only back then. I've progressed, so it makes sense, yes, because no one else could see.
Yeah, you're completely clothed, as we can see.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah, it's not one of those video blog things.
No. There's plenty of those weird ones around as well.
Translated on the internet with that stuff.
Yeah, cool. So the first question I've got for you is what made you want to follow a career in acting in the first place?
Well, I started out as a dancer. I started dancing when I was 5, and I'd always wanted to do something theatrical. I felt like, I was always kind of I'd make up stories and do funny voices when I was a kid, and I always used to dance. And it was either dancing or horse riding because we couldn't afford both. My parents couldn't afford both, so we tossed a coin, and it ended up on ballet. I ended up doing ballet. 4 years, and I was a shit dancer. I was just awful. I was a terrible dancer. Comparatively. I mean, I've got rhythm. I can sort of pick up a dance, but I would have been a terrible dancer. And actually, I got an injury. I bounced down into splits when I was about 16 and ripped all my groin. So yes, that's the general response I get whenever I say that story. So that put paid to my dance career, and so the drama teacher at my dance school said, "Look, I think you have an aptitude for acting. I think that's where your talent lies, and I think you should pursue that." So that's what I did, and I left dance school and applied for a tiny little drama school up in Hitchin called the Hertfordshire Theatre School, and it kind of went on from there really. And I got a job in the Bill, one episode of the Bill when I was in my 3rd year, and got my agent, and that's how I started really. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was fortuitous that I ripped my groin.
Yeah, ouch.
I'd say.
Yeah, I know how painful those injuries. I did wrestling a couple of years ago. Age of 38, I took up professional wrestling.
Wow.
And yeah, no, to be fair, I lost 4 stone. I could jump over the top rope of the ring. I could flip in the middle of the ring. Just do do the proper things. But unfortunately, in the training, that's one of my pictures I was going to show you later, which I said I'll get for the story. But I actually did tag team matches, singles matches, gauntlet, all rookie type matches. But it was still, against some great guys, being trained by some from WWE who came across, so X ones.
Because my son is a massive.
Oh, is he?
Don't come on the radio. I'm on the telly. Can't podcast. That's my son. He heard WWE. What? No. He's a big fan of WWE.
Oh, right, yeah. Some of the older ones who came and did it. But yeah, I fell out the ring one day. It was the only time my wife didn't actually watch what I was doing and come running. And it was the time I seriously injured. I've ripped one of my quad muscles. I tore completely. And I've now lost the use of it. And it's a dent in my leg because it was about 10 months. It was bruised. It's still got a bruise, and it's 4 years old now. So yeah, I know. It's those injuries really do get you, don't they?
Dangerous sport. My son's right. WWE is very dangerous.
Oh God, yeah. Don't think it's fake. It's not. It's.
At one point he wanted to be a wrestler, and I said no. Yeah. Oh, he still does. He still thinks.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
So the rest. Your son. It's wise. It's not fake. It's real. It hurts. There are many injuries I've had, and you get some of the other guys have seen what they've gone through as well. It's the aptitude you have to have. So yeah, no, it's just sorry that just reminded me because of your groin.
Because I watched WWE with Joe, and it does. You have to be quite precise because it's if you land wrong or if you land on somebody in a week, it looks like it could really hurt.
Oh yeah, it does. Yeah.
I was thinking something that I'd really want Joe to do. I'd love to do boxing because that seems more like more sort of, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean wrestling's not fake. It's choreographed. It's like dance. I'd say that. So the people who say it's fake, it's not fake. I've done it. It hurts like hell when you do miss a move, like you say, because someone can. If you just misplace a move, I did a clothesline on someone in one of my matches. He forgot to duck, and it just smashed him straight in the face, and it really hurt him. But obviously it was his fault because he forgot the move. I laughed because he was a twat. Yeah. If you listen, not he's going to listen to that, so it's fine. I can mention that. Cool. So second question.
No.
Who were your inspirations growing up in acting world or anywhere?
My inspirations. Julie Walters was a huge one for me. Victoria Wood, because I grew up with Victoria Wood. I grew up with Alison Steadman. I grew up with Judi Dench. Just all these, Maggie Smith. Irene Candle was a huge influence on me. Joan Sims, Hattie Jakes, all these incredibly funny, bright, sassy women. That was they were kind of like my benchmark. And I used to watch Joan Sims a lot and Jakes and Irene Handel and just joyous. It was just amazing. And I thought, well, I think deep down I always wanted to do something like acting as opposed to dancing. And I used to memorize all the kind of Victoria Wood sketches with Julie Walters. So I still do them now, which is really sad. But yeah, all the kind of when the two of them are sitting in the sauna and stuff like that, and I memorize them all and learn them and practice them and practice accents. I was always practicing accents and dialects and stuff like that. So I think I was influenced by a lot of funny women. Yeah. And my mum is very funny, and my grandmother was really funny. They were the very strong kind of, just very strong, funny, feisty women. And I think I've sort of been surrounded by people like that, females like that, and they were kind of my influence. And that sort of led me to want to do. I mean, I do a bit of comedy. I don't do a lot. I want to do more comedy. I love comedy. I think it's far more difficult than the straight stuff because it's making people laugh is very difficult. I think, and being genuinely funny and having funny bones, I think is that's not, you can't teach that. That's, you either got it or you haven't.
Yes, definitely.
I think funny bones are inherited. You can't manufacture it.
Yeah.
So it was mainly lots of women that were my influence. Yeah.
Fantastic. Joan Sims and Hattie Jakes as well. I think we're very similar age. So I think so. Yeah, we kind of the Carry On films were the mainstay of my childhood as well, and they were just brilliant. And they were especially at that time, they were showing strong female characters, which wasn't a big thing back in the 60s. So, still.
Cool. And I also grew up, because my dad used to make me watch the Goons and listen to the Goons. So I was a huge Peter Sellers fan, huge Spike Milligan fan. I loved Pete and Dud, and huge fan of Lauren and Hardy, massive fan of them. I just had a massive crush on Stan Laurel. I just thought he was just beautiful, and it was just, his timing was just perfect. And I kind of used to watch that and kind of learn his timing and kind of try and emulate that slightly. Yeah. But all that old kind of slapstick stuff and that, that exasperation. That it's glorious. It's just fabulous.
Blippato! He's falling in the water. That's what my dad always used to say.
Kenneth Williams as well, when he used to do Julian and Sandy and stuff like that. Things like that. I really remember listening to and thinking, I want to do stuff like that. Just wanted to do that.
Definitely. Oh yeah, no, that's great. And I'd say there were some fantastic people, and like you say, especially in that era, it was just they were just brilliantly ahead of their time. I think a lot of them.
Definitely.
Cool. So moving on to some more generic questions here. I've got to go through because there's loads of people have sent stuff in, which is fantastic. So Nicholas Durham would like to know who your choice for the next Doctor Who would be, and would you ever take the part yourself?
Me? I do. Yeah, of course I do it. I would do Doctor. Yeah, yes, of course I mean, I know it would be like the most difficult job to do in terms of logistics and childcare and things like that. But yeah, to be the Doctor, yeah, I think I'd do that. Having said that, if I had to pick somebody, who would I pick? Who would I pick? Who would I pick? I went to go and see Consent last night at the National. I think Ben Chaplin would be quite a good Doctor. Mm-hmm. He's quite a good. Yeah, he'd be quite good. I think. Who else do I really think would be good? Oh, these dogs! I've got 3, and they're all idiots. Everybody knows on Twitter, and everybody knows I've got the most stupid dogs you could ever wish to meet. They're idiots. They bark at nothing. They bark at wind. Mm-hmm. It's insane.
I used to have a dog like that.
I'm going to say John Joe would be a good doctor. He'd be the good doctor because he would.
Oh yeah, he would actually. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I'd say yeah.
Twinkle, and he's got that sort of, he's a brilliant actor, so he'd make a good doctor. Andrew Scott would make a beautiful doctor. I think Martin would make a good doctor. I think there's loads of there's quite a lot of good actors that would be brilliant at it. But I think it would be good to have a female. I do. I think it would be interesting. It'd be an interesting new dynamic, and I think it would bring a different take to it. I think Nicola Walker would make an amazing doctor. I love her. Olivia Colman would be really good. I'd love to do it, but I'll never be asked. So it's
you never know. You never know.
Yeah, someone pick me as the new Doctor. In my head, I know what I would wear as well. I'd wear like a suit.
Yeah.
Have a suit on, definitely, with a pair of brogues.
We'll start a Twitter campaign.
Yeah, exactly.
Excellent. Yeah, you're right. I think John Joe will make a quirky one because he's got a twinkle in his eye, and he is such a.
And he's also such a brilliant actor.
He is.
It would be, yeah.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, he'd be awesome.
The Crucible I saw him 2 years ago, and that was just so powerful. It really was.
Good. Yeah, he is. He's astonishing. I think he really is.
Cool. Excellent. So, next question is from Valeria. She would like to.
Valeria.
Yeah, she said she came all the way. She came all the way from Rome to see you in Bath. She says.
She did, and she was gorgeous. I gave her big hugs because she travelled all that way. Yeah, it's amazing.
Awesome. She said, "How difficult is it being a model for your fans and showing your opinions, thinking that they carry weight with people?"
You have to be very careful about what. I'm not careful, but I temper what you. And I don't temper what I say. That's not true. I think I am very measured in what I say. So I think very carefully now before I say something. Because when I first got on Twitter, I was very knee-jerk, and I'd just sort of say things, and then I'd get a load of rubbish and stuff. Because I just spoke from the heart as opposed to kind of. And you have to be very careful about doing that because, I'm quite a passionate person about things. And I say things in the heat of the moment and then immediately regret it and go, oh, I shouldn't have said that. That's just so bad. So now I kind of I take a step back and if I have an opinion, I dress it up in a more palatable way, let's say, instead of just kind of just like screaming and venting, because I'm quite scrappy like that. I get quite, I've got a temper, I think, I've got quite a short, and if somebody annoys me or upsets me, then I'm very quick to kind of tell them that. So, and I'm aware that I have the ear of quite a lot of young women, and I'm very fortunate, and I don't take that lightly. And I'm very thrilled and honoured that I do have those lovely die-hard fans that are very loyal and sweet and kind and loving. So I make sure that I make sure that I'm considerate and kind and generous, as generous as I can be with my time, because I've got, as I said, being a single parent and having to juggle a career and look after kids and, and do all those other things of like, looking after a house and stuff like that. So as much time as I give, I make sure I try and spread myself as wide as I can, and I'm aware I have their ear, and it's an honour. It's a real honour because they're very sweet and they're very loyal. And
I've met a few of them, obviously through trying to get questions for you, and they're so really nice people.
And they've come to the theatre and they've come to see Sherlock being filmed, and I've met them, and I see repeat faces, and it's just really lovely that they come, and their loyalty is, it's constant, and it's just it's really sort of humbling in a way. It really is, to sound too wanky about it, but it is, because they take their time to come and see you, and that's a big deal, and I don't ever take that for granted, really.
No, that's really nice to say. It's nice that you are. I mean, the brief time that we've chatted already, and we've chatted before, you are a very down to earth, and it's lovely person to speak to. So it's.
Well, I just think it's it doesn't cost anything to be kind. This is my mantra is just it's be nice, and I think it's being nice is underrated, and being kind is underrated, and we don't value that, especially nowadays, especially now where we're kind of just, it's all about yourself and what you can get and how you can look after your own self. And I think we have to kind of just be, especially the way things are going at the moment with the hideousness in control in America, and what's going on over here. We don't, we have a disparate government, and things like that. You just think we need to look after each other more than ever. We need to look after each other, actually, because they're not looking after us. Nobody in authority or power is looking after us. So we have to make sure that we look after each other, and being kind and being nice goes a very long way, and it's underrated.
I totally agree.
It ended the lesson.
No, I totally.
Preaching from Muppet. Analyze.
Soapbox is there.
Shut up, Amanda.
No, it's fine. Believe you me, you've got exactly the same outlook as I have. So
I think it's good. Like I said, like attracts like, I think, and if you put that out there, it just does come back. You can't. If somebody's an idiot to you, if you meet it with a hug and just go, hey, how are you doing? They can't go any with it. They just go, I don't know what to do with that. So, dissipates. It dilutes it, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I've been cut down by a couple of actors on Twitter when I was asking to come on my show. One of them was a prize twat. I was just like, I just responded with, yeah, whatever, okay, and that was it. But the comment back was, I think it was, I think I say all I need to say on screen. You go tell me about myself on screen. If you want to see me afterwards, I don't have anything more to say. And it was just, the way he put it was really like, yeah, okay. So you just proved, but loads of response to that saying, you've just proved you're a twat, mate. Because when you're on screen, you're not you, you're someone else.
Exactly. I don't really understand the point of being like that. Especially actors, we are in a very privileged position, I think. We get to do something we love, and we get plaudits for it. We get adulation for it, especially people, high-profile people. I just think, you're lucky. You're lucky you're there. And you should be very thankful that people want to talk to you and spend time with you, actually, I think. That's what I think. But anyway, yeah.
Cool.
No room for arseholes, I'm afraid. Nice and short.
Very true. Becca, who is at Prada Wears Prada, I had to make sure I got that right, is how long do you stay so how do you stay so strong to hold your morals even when idiots try to tear you down? It's kind of a follow-on, I think, because
I suppose I'm in my 40s now, so I just think I can't suffer fools too gladly at the moment. I don't. So if anyone is a twat to me or an idiot to me, I just you kind of, again, it's very Dalai Lama, but you sort of meet it with love. You meet it with sort of like, fair enough, if you want to be like that, that's fine. Okay, I can't do anything about that. I'm not going to change your opinion. I didn't used to do that. I used to get really cross and angry, but I think the more I've had, the more my children have grown up, the more I've sort of, I've been through the mill last year particularly was pretty horrendous. And I think you learn from that. You grow stronger from things that have happened to you. And I think if you can't learn from horrible things that have happened to you, then you don't grow as a person. You don't open your heart up, and you don't, you become very closed. And I think it's very sad when people live like that. So I just think when I meet people, or when people are just vile to me on Twitter, I'll just say something like, you want a hug? I know you do. And then I block them, and then I just cancel and continue. That's something Vicky Featherston, the artistic director at the Royal Court, taught me that when I was doing a play with her. She said, if you get it wrong, cancel and continue. And that's kind of my little mantra for life now. If something goes, things always go wrong. Life, to quote Ronan Keating, life is a roller coaster. Was it Ronan?
Yeah.
Or was it Life? It was.
No, it's Ronan. It was Ronan Boyzone. Yeah.
So, yeah, I should know because I work with him, so I should know that. But it is though, you don't want to be on the merry-go-round all the time. You want to be on the roller coaster. You want to hit the peaks, and you want to hit the troughs, and you want to experience everything to a certain degree, to extreme. And I think, that the older you get, I think the more I kind of think, well, let's just embrace it. Let's just go for it and be nice. Again, it's that whole thing of like being nice and letting love in, and not being frightened of getting hurt, or not being frightened of people saying horrible things to you, because that's always going to happen.
Yeah.
People are always going to not like you. There'll be thousands of people that think I'm an arsehole, which is fair enough for whatever reason. They'll say I'm too fat, I'm too ugly, I'm too stupid, I'm not very talented, or whatever. And you just go, well, that's fair enough. And I'd have to deal with that.
Yeah.
It's okay. And you concentrate on the people that are, being very lovely and kind and considerate instead. But yeah, I just think it's just about opening up your heart and just being a bit more generous with your time and spirit, I think.
It's a really good answer. I've kind of got to the phrase now, I just kind of dump in a line. I think opinions are like arseholes, everyone's got one, and some stink as shit to others. And I'll just leave it at that as I walk out.
You're never going to please everybody all of the time. That's time immemorial. That's always been the case. So as long as you accept that and you go, fair enough, that's fine, I don't care about that, I'm just going to move on. I've got two little things in there that I adore. I've got a career that I love. I've got love in my life. I have friends. And as long as you know your values, as you know your values and you know what's important, I don't think you can go far wrong.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think as long as you know what's important and you look after that and you nurture that, then all that crap that you get on Twitter or social media or whatever, you can bat it away, because that's not important. What they're saying is one stupid comment from an anonymous arsehole who hasn't got the balls to be themselves. Nothing. It means nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Great philosophy. At Cloyrus, I hope that's Cloyrus, is what was your favourite book as a child and why?
Okay, so I liked Alice in Wonderland. That's still one of my favourites. And there was a series of books that Enid Blyton wrote called The Wishing Chair. And it was called The Wishing Chair Again. I think there was The Faraway Tree.
Yeah, I love those books.
Do you remember them? And they were
just... Yeah.
I used to carry them around with me all the time and dip into them. And they were just about this kind of... these fairies that lived in the woods, and they lived in this big tree, and they were just like these little adventures. And they've got them actually in my local Waterstones, and I was thinking of getting them for Gracie, because I think she'd really love them. I think she's getting to that age now where she'd really like to read them. But I remember just loving Enid Blyton and loving Alice in Wonderland, and then being very relevant in my growing up because I'm an only child as well, so I didn't have anyone to play with when all the kids went home to their houses after morning, Saturday evening. So I'd go home and I'd sort of draw and read and play up in my room and stuff, and they were the books that kind of sort of I reread a lot. Kind of stayed with me, they're great.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, they are. They're timeless classics.
And I'll tell you what else I used to love as well. She wrote a series of books about Mallory Towers, which was this boarding school in Cornwall.
Oh, I remember those as well.
And they were so good, and I used to reread them, and they used to have thumbed copies that were just really ragged, and I always wanted to be the character Daryl in it, who's like this. She was like the hero. She was kind of like the younger sister called Felicity, and her best friend was Sally. And she just they had this best time at this beautiful boarding school on the edge of the cliffs in Cornwall, and it just sounded like the best place to be. So I remember growing up with those as well and being very excited about reading the new one of that.
Yeah, cool. My sister had those more than me, but I was definitely the faraway tree, Mr. Saucepan and Moonface and
exactly. Oh my God, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, they're brilliant. Okay, so next one, Becky. Now H Stylix or Histlix. I've got to pronounce. Apologies for the Twitter pronunciations, whoever. For the people, is there a highlight moment in your career which you would love to relive?
I think I've got three. I think I'm not allowed to have three, but I've got three. So I've got the one when I first got my audition. I got a meeting at the Royal Court, and then I. The job at the Royal Court, and that's somewhere where I'd always wanted to work and be a part of. So I remember going in for the audition, and then I think getting it on the same day. And I remember being on Wardour Street and my agent ringing me and saying, "Well, they've offered it to you, darling." And I was like, "Oh my God, this is amazing," because I'd always wanted to work there, and it's still my favorite place in the whole world. The Royal Court is my favorite place in the whole world. I think what Vicky Featherstone does there is truly astonishing. She's an amazing woman. She's a strong, just a beautiful human being who knows exactly what works at that place, and she's one of my heroes. And so that was one. Getting Sherlock, being offered Sherlock was the other one, and also Mr. Selfridge, because that was kind of guaranteed sort of work for 4 years, and it was just down the road, and I got to work with one of my good friends, Tom Goodman Hill. So it became, none of those jobs seemed like jobs; they just seemed like fun. It was just fun to do, and that's the joy about this profession, is that sometimes you get jobs like that where they're just like, oh, this is just fantastic. It's like a holiday, because also looking after kids is like really, it's time consuming. It's completely selfless, and it's quite boring sometimes as well, because, they're little and they don't really have any kind of idea of like being generous with their time because they're kids. They're learning that you have to be, that give and take and all that. So it's a learning process. So it's a relentless thing, doing it well. Yeah. So when you get a job, it's like, this is brilliant. This is like a holiday. This is joy. I can go and, be pampered and learn my lines and sit in my trailer and then go on set and do a couple of scenes and then read my book. And it's anyone that says it's not fun is lying, because if you've got kids, because kids is hard. Yeah. But it's beautiful and it's uplifting and it's rich and wonderful, and I would never not want to be a parent.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean though.
But it's hard work, and I think you have to acknowledge that, and if you do, then it's much easier to be a parent. Once you acknowledge it's a really flipping hard job to do and do well. Doing it well is really hard, I think.
Yeah, that's the big one.
Bring up kids with respect and manners and good morals and decent human beings is a full-time occupation, because you can't just let them sit and play on an iPad for 4 hours or 6 hours. You have to kind of put the work in to get the work out.
Oh yeah,
and
exactly.
I find that's what we both do. We make sure that they're good kids. I know they're good kids because people comment on them, and so I think we're doing okay. But it is thankless, whereas acting is just it's a beautiful busman's holiday. It's fantastic.
Excellent. I'll just put in Deep Fried Jelly was asking you about how you sort of balance your time, which we've kind of between all that, so we kind of answered that anyway. So I just wanted to give them a shout. Just
balancing. You have to. I mean, now again, because it's because I'm doing, because with Martin and I separated, so we had to we juggle that as well. We kind of make sure that we both have equal custody of them and stuff, and I have a very good support network. That's what you have to have as well. You have to try and have a very good support network. So I've got my best friends, Rebecca Callard, Daisy Haggard, and Sue Vincent, who are just amazing. Sue Vincent's their godmother, and she just looks after them beautifully. And my parents are around, so I have a very lucky support network where I'm allowed to kind of go off and do stuff, and it's really helpful. Really helpful.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing to have, is that that support network around you when you and it does work. I mean, I've got a 10-year-old son, so I know
right. So, but also it's not feeling guilty. It's not feeling guilty for wanting to go and work. I think especially women they give themselves a really tough time about going off to work, and I think, well, you shouldn't. Because it's what you want to do. And I think as long as you can temper, you can have you can have a work-life balance. Yeah. But you have to work hard at it, and you have to know when to work and when to rest and when to play. And I think once you get that, it's rather lovely, but it takes time and it takes effort.
Excellent. Brilliant. Great answer. But I do know where you're coming from. I said, me and wife look after. We've got a 10-year-old, and it is hard work. It is very, because they demand your time, they demand your attention, and I wouldn't change it for the world. Not for the world. But
you would die for them. But at the same time, it's lovely when you go to work. It just is. It just is.
It's that
some vocational. It's glorious.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. I'll move on to some Sherlock questions now. I've got lots of other general ones, but I'd like to bring you back, because I think we've got that many questions. There's going to be we can have a whole other episode. Yeah. So we'll do a part 2, but I'll keep those for the second one. I'll try and get through as many as I can. So Sherlock, can you tell us about the story of the bloodhound called Dexter from Sherlock season 4? He was supposed to run a lot, but didn't do what everyone expected him to.
He was totally hopeless. He was a beautiful dog, and he was very lovely, but he just didn't he had no energy for a start. And the trainers would say, well, he doesn't like concrete, and he doesn't really like urban environments. So we were filming in Borough Market. You can't really get more urban than Borough Market, really. I mean, you're in the centre of the city. So he didn't really like that, and then he doesn't really like space. He doesn't really like grass. He doesn't really like crowds. He doesn't really like being on his own. And you just think, this is his job. This is what he's supposed to do, and he can't do any of it. So what happened? We ended up just having one of the props guys holding a lead, and me holding the lead, and him pulling me through through shot, looking like this dog was leading me to this whatever the clue was. Dexter's just sitting there like that. He didn't do anything he was told to do once. And then the next day we got another couple of bloodhounds in, because he got sacked because he was so useless. So we got another couple in the next day, and they did the same thing. They were just utterly redundant. It was pointless, but beautiful. And I was sitting there just hugging them like that, and they were just very loving and beautiful looking. Just these kind of that sort of like droopy,
but just useless as anything.
Yeah, just hopeless, and never worked with children and animals, and it's true. It's absolutely true. You shouldn't ever.
Excellent. Another fun is apparently scene in Sherlock season 4. You, Martin, and Benedict couldn't stop laughing, and you had to do a lot of takes. Apparently, you mentioned it before season 4 was released, so everyone wants to know the whole story.
I can't remember. What was it? What was the scene? I can't remember the scene. There were quite a few scenes where we did that. Like when we were in Borough Market, when we were with the dog. Yeah. We got mildly hysterical because nothing was working, and there were people watching. And we were up against time because we had to be out of Borough Market after a certain period of time. So that was quite. By the end of it, I was going, Ben, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do. And there's Martin there with this fake baby, and it just seemed all very real. So we all got borderline hysterical there. But there was a scene. There was a scene when we were in 221B. Mm-hmm. But I can't remember which scene it was. I think it was the scene. Oh, what was it? I think it was maybe when it was a figment of John's imagination. But I can't remember. I can't even remember what happened now. Ben would probably remember. Yeah. But we just ended up as soon as the first AD sort of went, or as soon as the sound guy went turning over, Ben and I just looked at each other and we couldn't look each other in the eye, so we were doing that. And then we start, when you're trying not to laugh and you just go, and you turn away, and that doesn't help, because when you turn away, somebody else goes, okay, well, you're laughing, so I'm going to laugh. So Ben started laughing, and then Martin would do this thing where you go, like that.
Yeah.
And so we had to have a little break, and because the producer was going, now come on, we've got to get this done. But it starts from nothing. That's the really annoying thing, is that starts from nothing.
Yeah.
So it can be like it can be getting a word wrong, just saying something, or a voice breaking slightly, and you just go, oh my God, I can't do this now, I can't do it. Oh my God. Okay. And then as soon as it goes quiet, then they go action, you just go, can't do it. So we had trouble on the fourth series, particularly on the fourth series. Actually, it was quite difficult. We were all in a bit of a giddy mood by the end of it.
Excellent.
It's fun.
Brilliant. I know what you mean about that. I used to do acting when I was in uni and stuff, and then obviously done a bit now recently. But I remember being in Macbeth, and I was one of the lords. And there was a whole must have been about 400 school kids had come to watch the performance, and we were doing it very modern at the time. We were walking into the audience and we were, mixing, and we had pipes. I never smoked a pipe before in my life, so we were standing there talking. I was like giving this big soliloquy as one of the lords, bit on the pipe, and the tobacco just went in slow motion out the pipe and landed. And I was like, really serious Macbeth speech, and there was me going. Can take one stupid thing that ordinarily wouldn't make you laugh at all, but because you're under pressure and because you are, you're not supposed to laugh. It's always when you're not supposed to do something that it happens. Exactly, and unfortunately the kids all saw it as well, so they were in hysterics. So it made it. Well, I did get a nice round of applause for completing it without bursting out into tears.
But also, audiences love it when. They love it. I mean, we did that a little bit in Abigail's party. There'd be moments where you just, you just feel like, and they kind of go with you, and it's just great. It's really funny. I love it. I love watching people corpse. It's one of my favourite things.
Oh, me too.
When you see people who are trying desperately not to laugh, and they do it, and you can see them trying to really control it. It's one of the most beautiful things.
It is.
Seeing people trying not to laugh and failing miserably. It's beautiful.
Well, one thing I've actually found out recently about corpsing, Rogue One? Star Wars Rogue One. When K2SO slaps Captain Thingy around the face? He says that wasn't supposed to happen. Alan Tudyk ad-libbed it, and he slapped him. So when you see Cassian putting his hand over his face, he's actually laughing. And I watched it last night, and you can see he's fits of laughter, but they left it in because he just completely ad-libbed it in the film, and you could just see his eyes glinting with laughter as he's.
See, I love that, especially when it's left in.
Some
of the best takes are the Pink Panther movies. When you see Peter Sellers it's just so beautiful. It's so beautiful. It's so uplifting to watch. I love it. I just love it.
I was raised with Peter Sellers as well. He was just a genius.
Oh, he was a genius. Yeah.
Really
tortured.
Really yeah, very tortured. You find that a lot though, don't you? About those people like Peter Sellers, Rowan Atkinson as well. Stephen Fry. They're very tortured personalities, but their public personas are really hilarious. Cool. Okay, moving on to the next one. I've got Elide Cochrane, Tammy, and Farah have all asked the same question. When you found out Mary was going to die in Sherlock, did you have any idea of how it would happen? And if so, did it live up to your hopes and expectations as a storyline?
I can't remember if I found out, because we all have meetings with Stephen and Mark to talk about before they write the series. We all have meetings individually with Stephen and Mark and Sue to talk about the story arc of the series. Yeah. And I can't now remember, because it's back in the mists of time, it feels like, whether they told me. I knew she was going to die quite early on. I think I knew she was going to die probably in the Christmas special, beginning of the Christmas special, that she wasn't going to last. And I was very happy about that. Just because I just think it's, she's not supposed to be part of that unit, and she has a finite life. And I like the idea of her not being present for too long, really. but I can't remember if I don't think Mark and Stephen told me at the time that she was going to get shot.
Mm-hmm.
I think they said they weren't sure. They had a few ideas. There was one, and I to this day I don't know whether Mark and Stephen were winding me up, but I think they said to me once, we might just have her walk out in front of a bus looking at her phone, and it would be just a really arbitrary kind of heartbreaking way she dies, because she's this high-powered assassin, and she's got people, and to actually die in a kind of really boring, kind of slightly desperate, sort of sad way like that would be even more heartbreaking. So I don't know if that was a real idea, that whether that was mooted or whether that was just a joke, to ask Mark. But no, I can't remember if I found out I don't think I found out at the meeting. I think they told me prior to the read through,
right?
And we had a conversation about it, and when they told me, I was like, that's just amazing, that's brilliant. I'm very pleased that she dies like that, because it felt very Shakespearean, that last scene, in that kind of aquarium with everybody around her, and that dark kind of sinister kind of the sharks swimming around, and her little swan song, and it did feel very Jacobean tragedy kind of thing. Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
And being shot by a secretary, was was the ultimate kind of okay. But within that world of kind of just beautiful, dreamlike kind of filming, it's just great. It was great.
Yeah.
Fun day and a half as well. Really was. Thoroughly enjoyed getting shot.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah. There's not.
But that's sort of like an actor's dream stuff. That sort of thing. Like a gift. You think, I get to do all this stuff, and then I get to dive in front of somebody and get a bullet. That's just that's why you do the job. Sometimes, do you know what I mean? That's one of the reasons why you do this job, because you get to do shit like that. It's brilliant.
I was in an independent film last year, and I ended up getting acid poured all over my balls. Yeah. So
how many people can say that?
Exactly. Yeah. But the character deserved it. If you can imagine, the character was one of those unsavoury characters as a paedophile. I didn't know. They didn't give me the full script. I didn't know until I got there. So they only gave me the words. I had 20 odd lines, which was great for my first ever time, but they didn't tell me what I was. So it was just office scenes was all I had to do. But when I got there, I had to have a cowl over my head to read some flashback memories, which made me nearly physically ill, because I was like, that's just sick. But then at the end, I was there for 2.5, 3 hours, lying on a cold concrete floor with my hands tied behind my back, waiting for them, because people don't understand when they see a film that lasts 30 seconds or a scene. You could be there for hours or all day just filming over and over. And so I was there lying on my back going, I'm loving this. I'm a big grin on my face going, this is ace.
It's fun. This is fun. But then I suppose after the 20th take, you're going, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this anymore now. I've done this now. We've done this now. I've done this more times than I need to do. I'd like to go now, please.
Yeah. My arms were pretty aching by the end of it.
Yeah, cool.
I'm a heavy guy, so flattening my arms underneath me was not fun.
That's quite tricky if you're lying in a really difficult. Because I remember when I was getting shot, when I got shot in Sherlock, I with my eyes open, and then Martin and Ben had this kind of conversation. I'm like, please hurry up, because I'm going to blink any minute. I'm going to blink, and it's going to ruin it. I need to blink. Please speed up your dialogue. And it's really, really hard. Really, your eyes open one time is really hard.
Yeah, that was a fantastic scene. I did really like it. It's heartbreaking, that scene as well. It really was. It was so. I mean, the whole thing about Sherlock and you guys is the acting is so good, and it's really on point.
Well, with their actors, I think they've done very well with all their actors. They've picked a blinding set of people that do the job well. I think
Yeah, present company included.
Oh well, thank you very much for saying that. Thank you. That's very kind.
Oh no, it's true. You really did make Mary, so that was great, because she is a very small character in the books. She's only. I'm listening to Stephen Fry, the audio thing. I'm not, ass and maid, so I'm listening to one after the other. And when you do listen back, you think, well, Mary was only in it. She's only mentioned really in one adventure. Yeah, and so to expand on that character is great.
Well, they wrote her really, they wrote her really beautifully. I think, she's this really strong, flawed character, and I kind of love that they did that. And she was an assassin. I got to be an assassin. I got to have big guns and balaclavas and burst into embassies. I mean, that's just a joy for somebody. I love all that shit. I'll do that every day of the week. All that action stuff, I'd love it. I really want to do a zombie film. I really want to be in a zombie film. Awesome. Desperate to be in a zombie film. I love zombies. Obsessed with zombies. Obsessed with them.
Have you ever done one of those zombie walk things? You know, the ones where you have to survive a zombie attack?
Oh wow! Can you do that? And you get chased by zombies?
Yeah, I've not done one. They've done one in Cardiff and they've done one in Liverpool. But people are hired to be zombies for the day, and you've just got to go out there in the city, and you've got to basically just survive. And there's zombies everywhere, and it's just quite harrowing.
Right up the street. I would love to do that.
Yeah.
I'd love to be chased by some zombies. Not actual ones, but just, you know.
Just enough to...
But I think I probably could survive a zombie apocalypse. I think I've read enough books and seen enough films where I think I know what I could do now.
Yeah.
I'm very keen to explore the zombie genre.
Just run fast.
Yeah, just run fast with a shovel.
Yeah.
I love Shaun of the Dead. Yeah.
Oh, that brilliant film, that one.
Yeah, they're good, those two.
Yeah, they are. I met him last year as well when he signed a book. That was big moment. Nick Frost was great.
Nick's great. Nick's a lovely guy.
Cool. Okay, moving on. I've got Yulia. Hayley _ Yuli. You know her as well. Apparently, she was the girl who came from Germany to meet you met you in Tesco's, I think.
I know, yes. Yeah. I'm aware of that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I was just reading. I was remembering her profile because that intrigued me.
Yeah.
She's asking, do you still create playlists for every character and that you portray? And if so, can you give some songs you've associated with Mary and Miss Marple?
Miss Marple, I did a lot of classical music and a lot of old town music hall. So I did a lot of sort of Mari Lloyd and a lot of Beethoven, a lot of Mozart, a little bit of Brahms for Miss Marple. Mm-hmm. With Mary, I did quite a lot of Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. I think there's a lot of that, and there was a lot of I think I did Lulu. Did a lot of her early stuff. I did it, yeah. I think Queens of the Stone Age I did for Mary as well. Mm-hmm. I did No Knows, that was one of her songs. I did a Beatles one. What was the Beatles one I did? Can't remember. What was it? It's on the top of my... Maybe it was Babies in Black, maybe. It was one of the earlier Beatles songs. But yes, right. I'll do like about 10 songs.
Yeah.
I won't do loads. I'll just do 10 songs and then just play them every now and again. Like I won't keep playing them. I'll just have them, you know. My friend Sean Dooley, actually, who's a brilliant actor, he does a different aftershave for every character, mm-hmm. which is really good. I like that. But it's always quite nice to kind of pin something to your character, so you've got like a little linchpin to kind of go back to, as you know. Yeah. So songs and music's incredibly important to me. I can't be without music at all. I love, and I have an incredibly eclectic music taste. I think, you know, I go through all the different genres. I don't have a specific genre that I favour, but it's very important to me. Music, one of the most important things to me. Brilliant. So I like to use that in my work as much as I can, really. Definitely,
it's a very good way to sort of to focus, and
I think it centers you, and you're right, it focuses you, but also it's very, very evocative. Mm. And a song, it's like your sense of smell. You know, there are certain smells that will just take me straight back to when I was a kid, and it's the same with music. Like I can listen to a particular ABBA song, and it takes me back to when I was 7 or 8 in my house in Little Heath with my folks, and it's so visceral and grounding, and it's I think music is so important. It's so fundamentally important to how you feel and looking after your soul and nurturing your, you know, how you feel and making sure you're okay. It's great.
It is. It's definitely, yeah. You're right. Memories. Music has memories, and I think that's brilliant. It does. Yeah. Cool. Also, will you be doing Letters Live in the near future?
I really want to. Yeah, I really want to. I should probably badger Adam Ackland at some point to see if I can do it again. I thoroughly enjoyed doing it last time, and I really want to do it again. So I'm hoping they'll ask me back. Yes,
cool.
I loved it.
Excellent. They've said that if you do, you've got to wear the glitter shoes that brought Twitter to a standstill.
Oh, okay. No, I've got some other glitter shoes that I'm going to wear as well. I'm a bit of a magpie when it comes to
Cool.
style.
This is what you'll love then, because this is that photo I was telling you about before. This is my wrestling. Oh, I don't know if there's a camera. My wrestling manager days. Can you see that?
Oh, look at your, I love that jacket. My
Wait
God.
till you see the
Let me
platforms.
see.
Oh, let me see if I can get.
Got platforms on.
Oh yeah.
Let me see. Oh, look at those. Very Marc Jacobs, actually, I think.
Yeah, and then soft sleep there. Yeah.
You
And then,
source them from?
yeah, they're on eBay.
Well, oh, see, eBay, you can't fail. You know,
I know. So there you go. That was my matching your glittery shoes. Yeah.
More of those if you let us live again.
Yeah, the fabulous Flash. My name was. It was a very camp. It was a very camp character. They told me they apparently, naturally, when I was wrestling, they just said you are the campest guy we ever know, and I was like, okay, fine, I'll roll with that.
Yeah, go with that.
So I became the fabulous Flash, and it was all like, oh, I'll take you in the ring, but you know that. X-rated. I had them all in stitches. I got called the king of the promos because we did some training promos where you have to come out and just say, and I was like, you know, oh Troy McCarthy, you've been bad mouthing me, baby, and I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. I'm going to take you in the ring, and you know, it was really innuendo filled, and they were crying.
Brilliant. That's the way to do it. I think if you're going to do it, you've got to commit. And
Oh yeah.
Go.
Yeah, it was great. The audience apparently loved it, and even had professional wrestlers came to me afterwards, and they were like, they couldn't tell. They actually came up and they had to ask me if I was gay because they said you really did it so well. I was like, you know what? That's what helped me get my acting back and my acting interest because I love acting. And they, you know, I thought if I can do it and convince people like that that I'm a different character, and they're used to doing it.
Battle. Part of the battle is convincing people that you're being honest and truthful. So,
yeah, cool. Moving back to Sherlock and away from me. Belle Gaudreau is what will you miss most about being Mary and being on the set of Sherlock?
I miss the scripts because the scripts are always so glorious to read, and I'll just miss. There was a great camaraderie on set. We always used to have a good time, and it was hard work, but actually, it was full of people who were very lovely and generous and kind, and we had a great time. So I'll miss that, and also just the kind of there's just working with the cast. Just the cast is just so much fun, and it's a roller coaster. It's a hard schedule because you have to fit a lot in a very short space of time. But actually, it's fun. It's fun, and I'll miss the fun element. I'll just miss that, you know. But as Andrew Scott once said, you know, he said, "You never really leave Sherlock because there's always flashbacks, and there's always, you know, ways that you'll come back into it in some way. So hopefully Mary will come back in some form or another."
Well, exactly. They could revisit the history, the timelines.
Exactly. I mean, you know, Moriarty's come back every time, and he's completely dead.
Yeah.
And just for the record, so's Mary. Mary's not. She's not coming back alive. So, yeah, I think there was some discussion about whether she was really dead or whether that was kind of like, you know, a little kind of herring. But she definitely died. But there's always space for a flashback, I think.
Cool.
There's always room for a flashback.
Oh yes.
Yes.
Indeed. Cool. I'm going to got 2 more questions, and then I've got my question. I've got loads more, but we've only got through half of them. But we'll have another go on this. So next question is this is Elid Cochrane says she saw you play in Abigail's party, and she thought it was absolutely amazing. What was the most enjoyable thing about playing Beverly?
The most enjoyable thing about playing Beverly was the fact that I got to be really nasty. I'm not a particularly nasty person, and I'm not, you know, I don't say things to hurt people, and I don't, you know, because there are some people that kind of quite, you know, there are people that aren't very nice. And
yeah.
I'm not a very nice person, so I got to be not a very nice person, which is great, you know, which I loved doing. It's such a joy playing. She's not an out-and-out villain, but she's certainly not a. She's not a loving person. Being horrible to Lawrence and being horrible to Ange and Sue was really liberating. It was really like being mean. And I also liked, I liked working with Kieran and Ben and Rose and Charlotte, who were the other 4 people in it. That we were a little unit, and we just, when we got on stage together, and it's it's a roller coaster. Abigail's Party. You have to get on and you hit it, and then you have to just go with it. And you can't derail, and you can't divert your attention for 1 second. You can't think of the line in front, and you can't think of the line that's just gone, because it's such a complicated play that actually you have to be in the moment. So with 4 other actors who were also in the moment on stage was a real fantastic experience, because we were just on this roller coaster, just going, we're on the train now, this is great, and we're going to 45 minutes of this, and then it culminates in this fantastic farcical death, and when you're on it, it's brilliant. So it was working with them and being a bitch. That was my 2 favourite things.
Excellent. I want to get this one in on this episode. Is at Vegamegs/Jesse, who is at Levi's Quad Reject. They've both asked the same question, and I think it's great. What advice would you give for a young actor with severe depression and anxiety? And do you have any words for support for those struggling with that?
An actor, she wants to.
Yeah, she would.
Well, I think I think if you're struggling with anxiety and depression, I think it sounds cliche, but exercise helps. Getting out, exercise really does, because it gets your endorphins going and it gets your metabolism fired up, and you have to, it's really beneficial. It really does clear your head. I think doing something that makes you feel physically on top of stuff. Walking in woods or walking somewhere beautiful is always very spiritually uplifting. I think I think if you want to be an actor, it's very difficult to be an actor and not take it personally when you get rejected. But it's not personal. It's never personal when you're rejected for a job. It's purely to do with the type and a look. So you have to develop a sort of tough outer skin and just go, it doesn't matter. It's not personal. I'm not the only one that didn't get the job. There were probably 7 or 8 other women that didn't get that job. So it's not just about me. And you have to just cultivate your own work. Write everything down. Write poetry. I think anything that is spiritually uplifting and that will make you feel at one with the planet, I think can only be beneficial. So going out and walking and getting exercise and eating healthy food, good food, just they're simple things, but I think they're very, very important. And I think we take those for granted. But I don't suffer from depression, thank God. But I was a little bit postnatal. I got slight postnatal depression with my daughter, only slight.
Yeah.
And I experienced that, and the slight depression I got was hideous. And I made sure that what I would do is I would get up in the morning at 7 o'clock. I'd shower, I'd get myself dressed, I'd get my daughter dressed, I'd get my son dressed, I'd make sure I got them in the buggy, and then we would walk and we would go and do something, like we'd go into the woods, and it really does, it sort of cleanses your soul. And I think anything that can do that, really, I'm just looking at doing yoga, and I think that can really help you help clear your head, and any things that are very spiritual, I think. And I think that, again, reiterating, but with acting, you have to develop a really tough exterior. You have to, and know that it's not personal. And once you know that, and once you accept that, it's a much easier job to do. But it's very difficult, and it's only learned over time. You can only do that over time. But yes, anxiety is horrible, and depression is just hideous, and I don't necessarily think chemicals help. I think sometimes, just going out and having the sun on your face, or going down to the sea and just breathing in that, and walking for a very long period of time can sometimes be more beneficial than antidepressants. But that's just me. I'm not saying that that's antidepressants work for other people. I know people that are antidepressants who are just amazing and functioning and happy, and I think it's horses for courses.
Yeah, definitely.
It's minefield. It's horrible, and I thank the Lord every day that I don't suffer from that, really.
Yeah,
but there's no, that could all change. That's the terrifying thing. You could wake up tomorrow and get the black dog, and that's it. Mm-hmm. So you just have to try and be positive, but it's very, very difficult. It's very, very difficult. That's very flippant of me to say because I've never suffered from it.
But no, it's the understanding of that, So. Mm-hmm.
I think exercise. I have a friend who's a doctor, and she says that exercise is one of the best things for it. It's just because it gets mm-hmm. you moving, it gets you motivated, it gets your metabolism going, and it's an underrated thing. So.
Definitely. I mean, as someone, I do suffer from anxiety myself, and I especially in this field, it's not the same as acting, but I've got to say, you do have to get over it's not about you, because for every guest like yourself that I have on, there will be 100 where I've had no response, or I've had short responses, or publicists have said, yeah, I don't think so, looking at your, so you do have to get over it and realise, okay, this is how this is how it works, carry on, and push yourself through as best you can. And I know that because I suffer from it myself quite badly sometimes, and so
it's hard. I mean, it is hard, and I think, but as long as you acknowledge it, once you've acknowledged it, I think that can help. Once you acknowledge, I'm feeling this.
Mm-hmm. You can start to
deal with it.
Yeah.
You can start to process, or you can start to take measures in order to kind of get yourself through it with as minimum damage as possible.
Exactly.
But it's a minefield, and
it really is. It really is. Okay, I'm going to leave you with the last question I'm going to do for this session is I'm going to do, after that nice serious obviously debate there, we're going to go into a comedy one, or a comic one.
Good.
This one made Matt Ryan just crease up laughing last week because when he just thought back. So hopefully it'll give you a bit. I'll do an impression for you as well, which afterwards.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So if you were to be a Muppet or have a Muppet character named after you, what kind of character would you be?
Do you have to be a specific Muppet, like a Muppet?
You can you can create. It's got to be a Muppet, but obviously one that you could maybe. It doesn't have to be like Miss Piggy or Kermit. You can have your own. What kind of character? It could be a mix of few.
I'd be who was it? It wasn't Gonzo. Oh, it was on Sesame Street. He was blue. Who was the blue one on Sesame Street?
Grover.
Grover.
With the little, yeah.
I loved Grover. I would absolutely be. He did all that.
Yeah.
I'd be him.
Super Grover.
He was really cute. Yeah, he'd be really good, and he used to really make me laugh. Or I'd be Mr. Snuffleupagus because nobody believed he really did.
Yeah.
He did. I used to get genuinely upset that nobody would acknowledge Mr. Snuffleupagus. Because Big Bird was made out to be a massive liar, and he wasn't. It was his friend.
It was, yeah.
Or maybe, but then I'm thinking now, that's the fact. Maybe it was Big Bird's imaginary friend. We were supposed to think that was okay to have an imaginary friend. Maybe that's what that was.
Teaching kids it was okay to do that.
Sesame Street does that. So maybe we were supposed to think it's okay to have an imaginary friend, kids. Yeah. But Mr. Snuffleupagus or whatever, definitely. They were beautiful characters.
They were amazing. I've got my little Kermit one. I've had to drink some water. I practiced on my way home and I nearly ended up coughing my heart out because it was. So I've had to cut Fozzie from this. Hang on.
Okay.
I've now got to start. Now I'm embarrassed.
Don't be embarrassed. Okay. Don't be embarrassed. I play this game with people where I go, do Al Pacino, and then they have to do it, and it's the worst impression you'll ever hear, but it's fun. So.
Okay, so why are there so many songs about rainbows? Or Piggy, what are you doing, Piggy? Kermit, you can't sing. Oh, that's really bad. It's like, but it's
that's really good.
Yeah, it carried on
really
for longer.
good.
But I couldn't do any longer.
That's
My
really
throat's gone.
Oh, I like that. That was really good.
Yeah, Mioda's better than my Miss Piggy. It's like, when 900 years old, you reach look as good. You will not.
It's kind of the same. It's the sort of the same. Yeah.
Yeah, same guy did Miss Piggy, isn't it? So it works.
But that's I love it. That's well done. I'd love to be able to do. I can't do Kermit. No, I can't do it. I'm not doing it. I'm not going to do it.
You could try.
I'm going to subject you to that. No way am I going to subject you to that.
It's alright, the other two my son got, we went to Florida last year, was Goofy and Donald. It was like, hello there, folks. This is Goofy here.
I can do Goofy in Hippie. He always used to say that. He used to go, in Hippie.
Yeah.
That's my Goofy impression. That's all I can do.
That's brilliant.
It's slightly underwhelming, actually, but in my head, it really sounds like Droopy.
It does. That's actually a really good impression. That's me, Donald.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's about it. That's my repertoire. That's it. It's gone. All right, Chris. Is there anything you'd like to say to people just before we stop recording?
Thank you for following me on Twitter, and thank you for your love and support and loyalty. And you're all gorgeous. Thank you very much.
Thank you once again, Amanda, for your time. I really, truly appreciate it. That was an absolutely fantastic interview. I loved talking to you. You're a really great person. To everybody who sent in questions, thank you so much. I really appreciate everyone's support, and I hope those of you who got the questions answered, you got the answers that you're looking for. If there's anyone I missed out, I do really sincerely apologise. It was due to time. However, hopefully I can bring Amanda back for another second time, and we can get to answer those questions that didn't get asked this time round. Thank you all for your support. Thank you all for tuning in. Every time you do. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope it means that you're going to be tuning into further episodes as well. This has been Chris Gordon on Hellblazer Biz, saying good night